Welcome to ESI Insight. I'm your host, Adam Fitch. I'm the editor of Esports Insider, which is the leading esports business publication. This is the first episode of Insight, which is part of ESI Network, a collection of podcasts that focuses on what you'd expect, the esports industry, and more specifically, the business side of things. On this particular series, we'll focus on key stakeholders, those that are making moves in the esports industry, to get their thoughts on what's occurring in the industry as of late, any big developments they've had recently, and that's very much prominent with this episode, where I'm joined by JMR Luna, a Hollywood movie director turned CEO of OG Esports, the second highest earning team, which is player owned and player run. But this marks a big change. This appointment right here is a big step, and we felt it was worthwhile to speak to Jay to really delve into things. Winning TI back-to-back, it's important that the players really get to focus on gameplay as opposed to having to run the organisation. So Jay will execute their vision, including an international expansion, external funding for the first time, and plenty more. We delve into how he plans to run OG, what he thinks of the esports industry in terms of content and funding, and how things are run, as well as his prior experience in esports before turning to Hollywood for a bit. He's definitely a content man, and I think that'll shine through. But I don't want to take up any more of your time. We're getting straight into the podcast. It'll be found anywhere you listen to podcasts, whether that is Spotify, Apple, Google, on YouTube, and anywhere else you can find. If it's not on the platform you prefer, let us know. You can get in touch, and we'll see what we can do. Without further ado, we'll get into the very first episode of ESI Insight. Thank you for joining us. Jay, thank you for joining me today on the very first episode of ESI Insight. It's an honour to have you, especially considering what's been announced recently with yourself, obviously being announced as the CEO of OG Esports, which is quite a big shift for the organisation, and obviously it's a big shift for yourself as well.
Yeah, I'm very excited to be here. I'm very excited for my new position and the things that we're going to be doing or try to do.
Yeah, exactly that. So it's just going to be a light chat, but I want to get some background into the decision-making process, into taking the role, and kind of, without leaking anything unless you really want to, looking forward, what kind of your plans are, So I guess first off, I would just like to ask, how did it all come about? Like, it's not every day you just kind of get into a conversation with no tail and he goes, oh, do you want to be the CEO? So how did that come about?
So I feel that there's like two different versions. The version that my ego would like to say that it was true, and the true version of it. I would like to tell you that I was at home and Johan came begging for it. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll help you, buddy. Unfortunately, it did not play exactly like that. I met Johan and Sebastian in 2017, and we stayed friends, and I have always had a lot of respect for what they do and the kind of people that they are. And they know that I make movies, and they know that I am a producer of films, and I was doing things in Dota. So they always like me, and we stayed in touch, our friendship developed, and if you guys know anything about OG, is that in OG, everything is a family. You have to be part of a family, and they identified that they wanted to work with me. And we had these conversations in November last year, is when everything started.
Okay.
I had a call with Sebastian, and they said, look, we would like you to be part of our adventure, a long-term member of this. I don't know which way we can make this happen. And back then, I was making the film that I did for Netflix, so my head was somewhere in a different space. Mm-hmm. But during this time, I was trying to figure out what would be the more business approach to esports if I were to rejoin a team.
Right.
And I was very lucky that Johan came to LA in December. And we got to spend time together, and there was no offer or nothing. It was just more like we got to talk, and I showed him my vision for the world. He showed me his vision for the world. And I mean, it was like, I was going to say not love at first sight, because there was many sides before that, but it was like, okay, I need to figure out a way how to work with this gentleman. And that took us to January, February. Conversations started getting more specific. We started talking about what I do with OG moving forward, 100-day plan, first year, 2 years, 3 years. Then we moved those conversations to their other partners with Xavier and Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it became very, I would like to say it was very organic, that we both parties saw each other's values. And it became a matter of, okay, well, if you want to do this, you have to relocate to Europe, which was a big ask for me. I needed to really understand the product and the project long term. But it was undeniable that this was going to happen. You know, when Johan and Sebastian say, "Do you want to be working with us?" The answer is yes. Where and when? You know, yeah, it was really wonderful.
Well, I imagine there's quite a lot of appeal when you get an offer to work at an organization that has got the second highest amount of winnings in esports in a very short lifespan.
Yeah.
You know, and seemingly player run for the most part. Obviously, as you say, there's Charlie and Xavier and such, but like. It was I believe like No Tail and Seb were like very involved with the direction of things.
They still are, correct.
Yeah, they won't be
absolutely.
like out of a job except for playing. They're just like they'll be working alongside you and you'll be helping to execute their vision and such, right?
Yeah, I think that the way that I would like to think about it, this is a team effort. These two gentlemen and the other gentlemen already in the company with Xavier and Charlie have a very clear vision of what OG was built to do. The core values that they build this organization based upon, and what their vision of the future is. So think about it as North Star. Mm-hmm. They have the North Star, and I needed to tactically figure out how can we achieve the dream, and what is the physical part of the dream requires to build. So you want to have this message, okay, so we need to be able to provide the best thing for the player. Okay, what does that mean? How do we build it? We need to be able to amplify the message of love, friendship, and community. Okay, what does that mean, and how do we build it? You know, and I think that they also realize that their time could be very much better utilized on other duties. You know, mm-hmm. Like at the end of the day, they still have to bring me another championship. You know, so
get the third TI in a row.
Yeah, that's literally the reason why we're building all this, you know, it's competitive success. So yeah, the appeal that you mentioned, if they call you and it's the guys who are telling you like, look, this is our baby and we want to work with you in it. I mean, it's, I would say, one of the best days of my life, you know. I had like a silly grin across my face for the next 3 days. Yeah, nothing could ruin my smile.
No, that's amazing, and I'm going to shift it a little bit, because organizations are like notorious for, at the moment at least, not bringing in enough revenue to be classed as profitable. Right? It's a very difficult situation, it appears, because not many people are doing it, and the ones that claim they are doing it are typically ones with big influencers and big streamers. Now, I'm not asking if OG is profitable or not, but I'm more interested in your mindset as to, do you think monetization is optimal at the moment in esports? Are there any ideas you've got like that are really prominent right now as to how you can kind of innovate in that sector and bring in new revenue streams and such? As I say, I'm not expecting you to divulge your business plans, but like just your thoughts.
Yes, you are. But
if you want to tell everyone as a gift for our first ever episode, that's fine. But no, I'm just more interested in your thoughts on the whole like monetization of esports organizations.
So I would say that before addressing monetization, there is something that I have to contextualize. I feel that there is a little bit of misconception that esports teams' only objective is to become profitable.
Right.
I think that we are in an appreciating asset market. As long as your asset keeps appreciating, meaning worth more every day, then your company is growing. There is a lot of teams, professional sport teams, who have been appreciating for many years without revenue, but now they're worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Apparently.
So, think about like Manchester United, like Real Madrid, Barcelona. So, if your team is doing the right things, and there is a few esports teams that are really working and doing fantastic things, then monetization is a way to be able to sustain, to create like a sustainable, we call it maintenance revenue that allows your operations to be able to maintain. And then you have the injected capital that you bring by raising money that allows you to grow while you're trying to stabilize your ecosystem. Hopefully, in 10 years from now, 15 years from now, all the good teams will be stable, profitable, and be worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Okay. So OG, it's a very, very big brand, but it's run very conservatively, financially conservative and fiscally conservative, meaning that they don't have big salaries, they don't have big expenses. It's very optimal the way that they run it. So with the great sponsorship that we have and the prize pool that we have never needed to get outside investment. Mm-hmm. Let's just say that,
Yeah.
Which meant that we were okay operating the way that we were operating in a lean way. But like I explained to you before, now that we are trying to grow the business and we are incorporating the CSGO team that we did this last year, then in order for us to be able to invest in those new verticals and new things, then we have to go to market.
Yeah.
Because in a way, if the only thing you do is asset acquisition and not building a business around them, then in a weird way, you're only getting Twitter followers, You're not building a business structure around it.
For sure.
And Twitter followers is a great KPI, but it's not a business. So for example, in OG, we believe that there's specific things that we are very passionate about. One of them is we're building our own merchandise business. From top to bottom, 360, we're not working with anybody that is like licensing our product. We believe that we want to create something that is customized and that gives us enough control over the product to serve our fans. A lot of the teams just use blanks.
Yes.
And then just skins blanks. That I don't think that that's what OG fans want. If we're selling them excellency, we cannot just give them a shirt that has blanks. But it's great. Like those shirts are great, but I think that we have to be able to create a more premium element to this. We want to do fan loyalty programs. We want that being a fan of OG allows you to achieve milestones and to create like a one-to-one interaction with the company. I think that there's some teams that have started dipping their toes into this.
Yeah.
We would like to really invest on that. OG fans have a very clear profile and they're wonderful. So we believe that this community will be a very healthy community. Obviously, I come from content and media world, so content will be a prime element going forward.
Okay.
We will be hopefully working with an agency, and we have big plans of things that we want to do there.
So it sounds like, I'm not saying you're copying off 100 Thieves, but it sounds like you'll have a kind of similar approach to things where you've got like the three arms, the content, the championships, and the clothing, right?
I would say that even though we are a very different brand, if we achieve what 100 Thieves has achieved, I'll be happy, I'll be happy. We have a different angle because I feel that in a way they're very lifestyle.
Yes.
And they are very lifestyle in the ecosystem of the esports. For us, it's completely the opposite. We want to try to be the Real Madrid of esports.
Okay.
So our clothing, our content, our community is going to be very tied to competitive.
Okay.
I, for example, don't even conceive the word lifestyle. For me, is competitive, performance, and streetwear, but not lifestyle.
Okay. But like, so you say about appreciation and such, right, instead of necessarily profitability right now, and then you say building around competition. What happens if you have a rough time on the competition side? Let's say CSGO doesn't go very well, and you crash out of the next international, which I hope isn't the case, of course. But say that happens, and you've built everything around like a big narrative around the competition and the next TI. And whatever competition you're involved with in CSGO, like, do you class that as depreciation? Does that crash your plans, or do you then say, okay, the next challenge is building back up? That's a good thing, How do you view that?
I think it's a wonderful question. I would say that competitive success doesn't mean necessarily winning every day the biggest tournament of the year. I believe that what these guys have achieved winning 4 majors and 2 TI, it's out of their mind. It's incredible. I would say that for us, it means that the philosophy and the core values is that the players are here to win and to try to win. And we're focused on winning. We're not focused on doing things outside of the field. We're not focusing on doing lifestyle. We're here to win. And they know that when they come to OG, they come to win, or at least to have the highest chance of winning. And they know that the way that the organization is going to present these values and opportunities to them, it's going to be based on winning. So let's say, for example, if you join another org, you get to do a million things outside of the game. For us, no, you're here to win. So I don't think that we're depreciating if we are not winning for a specific amount of time. But I think it's core for our values for players to know that when they come here, that's what they come here for, you know? Like, look, I'm a big football fan, like the American football. Right. I love the Patriots. When you go to the Patriots, you got to win. If you want to go and be on other teams and just have fun and be young and be like that's great. But with OG, you come to win.
That's a strong statement.
Yeah, there is a price. There is a price you pay, you know? The price to pay is that we're not dicking around. You're here and we expect your excellency and you can expect elegancy from us.
Okay. And don't think I'm ignoring what you said about raising and going to market. Let's discuss that a little bit. So until now, I mean, even including now, so OG has been entirely like player funded, is that right? Or has there been like internal funding from like Xavier and Charlie?
It's been all internally funded from sponsorship deals and Johan and Sebastian, earn prize pool. It's all, we never needed money from the outside.
Okay, and now's you're gearing up to it being the right time to actually look for external funding and raise.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the idea of funding is not just supposed to pay for the bills of the things that you're currently doing. I feel that is in a way what many of these funding rounds are trying to achieve. A lot of the teams had a Series A where they built a bunch of revenue verticals, and they were not able to stabilize it to where they are profitable. So in a weird way, they have to raise again to be able to upkeep. And I believe they will be able to stabilize it. I think it's going to take a little bit longer. I think for OG right now is this round, we are trying to grow. It's a growing round. We are going to try to increase the level of employees that we have. We're going to try to increase the level of verticals. You know, raising money to build the content team, building the merch team, building excellency in performance, being able to provide all those elements. And obviously CSGO is an expensive game, you know. I think in viewership wise is the number one esport in the world.
I think it might be behind League of Legends, but that's about it.
If you keep it all in Europe and in the West, it might even be number one. But anyway, it's a formidable game, you know that. So we just wanted to be part of that. It's a game that we love, and in order to run a CSGO team, you need cash. Yes. You need cash flow. You need to be able to put the money and make it happen. And look at the guys that are doing it, like Complexity, and how they won like a few weeks ago. You know, it's amazing. So we would like to be able to give OG fans that experience. We would like to get new OG fans that get to learn about us, and that requires funding.
Okay, and do you have any? So when you say like expansion and stuff, right? Obviously building the teams out, but is OG's fan base heavily European, or would you say it's worldwide because it's one of the biggest stages in esports? Like what areas do you think you need to expand out into? Obviously, there's a huge amount of passion in the East. If you look at say China, for example, right? So it'd be very interesting to look there. And again, I'm not asking to divulge anything. I just wonder where you think the points of expansion or potential expansion are, because you know we're seeing more and more now like streaming deals with Huya and Do You and such, with like Team Liquid and Team Secret and such, and Method as well with their World of Warcraft stuff. So that seems like quite a desirable location.
So for us, our expansion plan has to do with where our current fans already are. We need to be able to provide them with a better interaction with our team. So OG is mainly, we have fans all over the world, but I would say it's Europe, it's North America, it's Southeast Asia, it's Russia, it's South America, and it's China.
It's everywhere.
We have fans everywhere. We're everywhere, correct. but we're very located in a specific of those territories. So we would like to have operations in China. We are very, very interested in having a base there. Hopefully Q2, Q3, 2021.
Okay.
We want to be able to do something exciting in Southeast Asia. The fans in Southeast Asia are incredible. They're some of the most passionate people we have met. We love how much passion they have for Dota. And because they're very far, we need to create authentic opportunities for them, meaning we have to also integrate with that. So South America, also fantastic environment. Johan was there in last November, I think, and he had a great experience. The fans were very passionate. So if you think about it, our plan is we need to be able to provide worldwide experiences to OG fans. Our OG fans are currently mostly Dota,
right?
But we hope to be able to nurture the CSGO environment as well. CSGO environment is very funny because it's mostly Europe, North America, and the CIS region. So that I think that one of the keys is that we have to, in a way, always think about the expansion of OG team and then the expansion of OG Dota versus OG CSGO. And they have to be, in a way, unique and authentic for each fan base. It cannot be one fits all, you know?
Yeah. Okay, and how do you go about such expansion and obviously shifting from player run to player owned,
Mm-hmm.
where you're obviously massively involved in the operations and the vision and such? How do you do that without it being like a jarring transition for fans and such? Because I mean, surely there has to be some sort of visible effects from this stuff happening. If you're expanding out, like that's a change. How do you go about doing things where it doesn't alienate fans at all? Is it just about sticking with the ethos of the organization or something else?
I would say that the people that are in this organization are here for the long run. I believe that they're going to play for many years more. But also when they stop playing, if they ever stop playing, maybe it's like Brady, you play until 45. But when they do, they're going to still be part of this organization and this ecosystem. We still have players that retired that they're still here, like Jerax. So our idea would be, for example, the first thing that comes to mind is if we do content, we need to be able to do content and use our assets and our voices to be able to translate them to other languages, so they can understand it.
Yeah.
Make sure that we put them in platforms where they go instead of just forcing everybody to go to platforms where they don't go. For example, in China, they don't have YouTube. So if we put our video in YouTube and expect Chinese people to watch it, that's probably not going to happen. So we need to be able to curate it or adapt it for them to be able to understand it, to fit their market, to fit their timing, to fit how they consume. Like Quibi, the new platform that they created, is based on short content.
Yes.
Because it's based for content that you can see on your phone.
And it's failing massively.
I'm not going to get into their success, but I would say they had a clear version of what they wanted to achieve.
Okay.
Yeah. For example, think about it the way that you consume the content. There's a lot of content that is consumed on PCs because we're here and we are playing, so might as well just click the content. Mm-hmm. But I also believe that there's a lot of people that are going to consume your content on the phone, on mobile devices, especially in Southeast Asia and especially in China. So if I give them an hour documentary consumable in a PC for that region in English with subtitles, it's probably not going to work, Right. So you need to be able to create a version for them that works for them. Another clear thing that we can do is we travel all around the world with the majors and the tournaments. When we go to a region, we need to be able to do our own event, fan meets, and activations where we're there. So people that are there, they can experience from us. So it's funny, when before you said that I was in a way mimicking the path of 100 Thieves?
Right.
Like I'm mimicking the path, but it's the path from football, basketball, like how Real Madrid makes a summer camp in LA every year,
Yeah.
How Barcelona goes to Qatar or to China. That's more our model, Mm-hmm. Let's take our players there so they can have an authentic interaction with the people there. We can do events and in a way expand our fan base,
Okay, that makes sense. And yeah, no, I'm not. I wasn't.
Are you convinced? Do you believe it or?
What's that?
Otherwise, I feel like I can keep on pushing you until you believe.
No, no,
Are
no,
you
no. I
believing
believe
me?
you, and I wasn't. I definitely wasn't accusing you of copying off 100 Thieves. You know, it's just like they're the first. In my opinion, at least, you could kind of argue phase, but they're the first organization to take the three-pronged approach, but like put more emphasis in others than competition. And obviously, you've explained you're doing it the other way around. So while you will seemingly still have those three pillars, like obviously it'll be spearheaded by the competition. But I want to get into content a little bit because obviously that's your wheelhouse, right? And you said you want to invest in that heavily. Now, if you bring in, say, a director of content or head of content, are you going to be able to let them just be hands-on and you be hands-off, or are you going to take over? Because obviously that's your bread and butter.
I believe that when I work in movies, I have a clear path. And my clear path is to be able to support the creative vision of my director. So I have the skills to create healthy ecosystems for them without me having to lead the product. Now, it's absolutely essential that the person leading the product is someone that I trust and whose vision I believe, or unfortunately, I will be trying to give my input every day. So I think that I have shown in my career that I can find those people and that I can trust them. When I do not intend to run that myself, I do not intend to be like the content person at the same time that I'm trying to be CEO. But I hope that I can find the right person, I can inspire the right person, and help that person succeed. But I wanted to give you a caveat, okay?
Okay.
When I think about content, I don't think about videos.
Right.
This is a major difference, I think, between the way that I see the world and many orgs see the world. Many orgs have the CMO,
Yes.
the marketing, and they put content inside marketing. And content ends up being money that they spend to market.
Yes.
And there is no money coming back.
Yes.
We don't have a marketing department in OG, and I don't think we're going to have one.
Okay.
The way that I see it is I want to have a chief branding officer.
Okay.
And brand includes brand itself, includes all the designs inside the brand, includes all social media communication, includes all content, everything that has to do with providing and pushing the brand message of your company.
Where do I sign up?
Sorry?
Where do I sign up?
I'll send you the link right after.
Perfect.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you know
of course.
this perfectly because you work in communication. At the end of the day, every single thing you do, from merch, from video content, from posts, from branding, from graphics, is all supposed to have one intent: direct communication and expansion of the message to your fans. Merch is just a way for you to continue telling the story of your company. So I can't think about this as marketing, because I did study marketing when I was in university, but what is the traditional marketing approach is I put dollars behind views so you can get to see it, so then I can in a way create a market to sell you my product.
Mm-hmm.
But esports product is more ethereal, you know? It's more brand affiliation. Is, do I want to be part of what they do or I don't? And if you do, it doesn't matter if I send you the best teacher in the world, because you're never going to buy it.
Right. Wait, do you not see the players as the products then in esports? Because I do.
I see the players are the company is divided into two categories. There is the competitive activities, and then there is the brand and business activities.
Right.
I believe sponsorship is part of the brand. I believe content, I believe merchandise is part of the brand. And then we have the players. It's completely a synergistic interaction. The players define the brand, and the brand is defined by the players, and vice versa. We consider that the kind of players that we sign is what gives the brand an identity. We created this brand because of the people that were there. So I can see if we have excellency in competitive operations, then we have to be able to provide just as much of an excellency on the business and branding part of it. I would say when people think about Barcelona, when people think about Real Madrid, there's a message in your head.
Uh-huh.
And that was created by competitive excellency, but the work that the brand did to continue perpetuating that message. So I just see it, I don't know, it's a different structure. I've been able to see a lot of orgs from the inside, and none of them operate like this. And I always had the dream of one day figuring out how to build it myself.
Well, now you've got the chance. I mean, so not to bring up what is now considered the competition, but you held roles at Immortals and Evil Geniuses, right? And they've both undergone quite a lot of changes in the past, say, 2-3 years. Obviously, Immortals with Immortals Gaming Club. I don't want to delve into it too much, but and obviously Evil Geniuses with a brand new ownership, and they're trying something, and you could see there where new ownership came in. They changed the logo. It didn't go down very well. Then they tried changing the logo back, and it's just like, yeah, it didn't seem like it was like thought through very well. Whereas I can't imagine your first step is to change the branding of OG and change everything it stands for and stuff. You know, like you're looking to add to it. But I wanna get your take on content in esports at the moment. How it is now. Obviously, your content positions at those two organizations we've mentioned, and your background, and well, I guess it's your current passion and such, right? With filmmaking and movies. Like, what do you think of the content in esports at the moment?
Ooh, I'm gonna have to put myself a time limit. Okay, how much time do you have? You want a 30-second answer, 2-minute answer?
We've
TED
got
talk,
36 hours. 36 hours to go through it. Does that give you enough time?
Yeah, fine. I might need to go to the bathroom at one point. But okay, so overall, first, there is very smart people making content in esports. I like them and I respect them. Second, I believe that the market of content has shifted because of financing and game fragmentation. And I will get into that in a second.
Okay.
And third, I believe that unfortunately, sometimes people are not committing long enough to one choice to see if the choice was right or just they never figure out the execution. Okay, so let me dive into it. When I joined Immortals, the definition of success for me was very clear. I needed to make the best content in esports, or at least top notch. Every brand has a different approach to content, while Liquid, for example, could be the very elevated, very curated content. For us, was more like the funny, kind of in your face, but very human and authentic storytelling perspective.
Right.
And at one point, people realized that making that content is quite pricey. You know, it's expensive. It requires a very talented group of people, and it requires a big burn ratio. And I think content shifted from let's make the best content to let's make good enough content. And that's where I became a little bit less passionate about the content.
Okay.
Because, like I told you before, if you always put content as a marketing expense, at one point it's not granted because there is no return on investment, there's no ROI. So if that's the reason why you make content, at one point you're going to realize, maybe I don't want to make content.
Yeah.
Now, for me, it has a completely different purpose, content. Content, for me, is a way for amplifying my message. So it does matter, even if you operate it as a loss. Because for me, content is just as important in a way as players. They're all symbiotic, maybe not as important as players, that's a big overstatement, but they're very important.
Yes.
So a lot of teams went and applied techniques that were working outside of esports. They said, okay, we need snackable content. We need clickable content. We need the short 3 minutes, 2 minutes that can live in the platform. And I believe, and I can prove that doesn't work. Because you're not giving an audience enough a value proposition. So therefore, even though they might click and they might experience it, you don't push them down the funnel into your fan base, you know?
Yes.
You're just keeping them all the time, always in the same kind of like non-committal fan base, you know? Mm-hmm. So I think that some teams are doing it better, but everybody has a different brand and everybody has a different, business approach to what they want to do. I would say that there's a lot of things to learn from outside of esports.
Yes.
Companies like Barstool, companies like Bleacher Report and the aggregators. I think that those are key companies for us. Barstool has been able to create an environment where they own podcasts, they own content, they do merch, and you become part of the Barstool family. Erica, the CEO there, she's brilliant, and she's been able to really nurture this community. It's very funny that it's a very bro-ish community with a whole female leadership.
Mm-hmm.
All the C-level executives are all females, but they are like, kudos to them. They're incredible, and they have all these. Oh, if I'm a sports fan, I go to Barstool. If I am I don't know, like it became a cultural beacon more than just a brand, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's enclosed in so many other brands. So I think that that's where esports needs to get to.
We're working on it at ESI. We're trying.
Yeah.
You'd have to call us out like
Let
that.
me talk to you. Tell me about your content strategy so I can write it down.
Content strategy is just write a lot and hope for the best. Mm-hmm. No, of course. As you know, as you are recording it right now with me, we are trying new mediums and we will obviously get better as time goes on. I feel we've got the written stuff on lock. There's a lot better we could do, but in terms of esports content, we're doing the best out of the competition. So while we're at that point, trying to see if we can make it happen on the podcast side as well, and potentially on the video side as well. You know, I feel I don't expect an ROI on absolutely everything we do, and obviously we've got the events side of stuff as well, and we've also got like ESI Connect, which is it's almost like an agency, and we've got ESI Media where we do white label content for people. We've got a lot going on, so it's sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming actually, but at least on my side, I thought a series of podcasts where we do a lot of different things as opposed to just the generic podcast. Say if we called it like the Esports Insider podcast and we just speak to one person a week, like I wanted to do something a bit different and trial and error and see what works, you know. So obviously it'd be very different content from what you produce over at OG. But
it's probably the same kind of purpose. The kind of purpose is to be able to create different entries into your world, and once that you can enjoy everything else that is being given to you by the ecosystem because it's somehow related.
Yeah, you guys get them invested.
Correct. Like, I don't want to quote you, but it would be like, you really care about the business aspect of esports. Correct?
Correct.
So a lot of your products will be related to that. So if you really care about this, look, I have for you articles, I have you these write-ups, I have these podcasts, and I have these videos. So you can continue exploring, right?
Yes.
Our platform.
Yeah.
It's very similar with what we're trying to do.
Okay, and I see a lot of the quote-unquote major organizations, namely the ones with the VC backing, they all tend to do docu-series around specific teams and go for it that way. It's episodic based on, say, a week in a league. So say if it's LEC, for example, they will do content based on every single week that happens there. What do you think about that? As you say, looking outside of things and you've got a film background, right? So what do you think about that?
I've actually done three of these docu-series myself.
Yeah, you would have done with Valiant
and
stuff, right?
I did Inside Valiant, I did Life of a Genius for EG, I did Inside Immortals for the World Cup when we were in China, and I did like Costa's Diaries when we were with the Overwatch League in Thailand. First, I would say as a fan, I love them. I love many of them that are being done. I would say that there was a key difference between our content and their content, not to say which one is better or worse.
Okay.
We wrote them before we filmed them. So we knew what we wanted to achieve in each episode before we went out to film it. So in a weird way, all our questions were already prompting a theme, and every episode had a theme. While many other teams have decided just to be a passive observer. So they're there to collect the authentic interaction of the team. I felt that was not working for me because that means that you have to be a really core fan already of a team to be able to join it. and I wanted to give the opportunity to entry at any point. I do not know if that's the kind of content we will be making in OG.
Okay.
I think it's very pricey. I think it has very little return on investment. And I personally believe that is not what the audience wants anymore.
No, they want challenge videos, reading mean tweets, and eating snacks that are not from their native country, seemingly.
Remember, that's what Optic used to do back in the day.
So now it's looping around right now. You know? Yeah, exactly.
The Mexican candy that Hector did.
Yeah.
What a boss! That was amazing. So we're going back to that, you know.
And do we see that as stepping backwards or just revisiting something that worked prior?
I think that sometimes we get tunnel vision of what we want reality to do, but market has something very authentic. It does whatever they want. So yeah, I mean, if we could get all the market moves right before the market shifts, we would be geniuses, you know. Mm-hmm. So we at one point we told them, okay, remember these little videos that you used to see that they were funny and little and amateurish? Let me show you what I can give you. But they actually just wanted to watch it because of the players and interaction with them. They didn't care about giving them something more creative. They already have Avengers, you know, outside of esports if they want to see that.
Yeah.
So for me, one of the biggest criticisms that I have sometimes from teams is focus on the players. That's why every one of your fans is watching it. Every one of them is just there to see the players.
What happens if a player leaves, though, and you've spent a lot of money, time, and resources?
It's terrible. Yeah, but I would say that, again, it's always about perpetuating the story and continue to tell the story. Look, I'm going to be able to tell you about the player by answering something that you mentioned before. Mm-hmm. That is the logo. Okay. So everything that you do with your fans needs to be justified to them, and it has to be explained to them. You cannot change a jersey mid-season if you have not explained and giving people enough warning. Imagine that you buy an iPhone and 3 weeks later there's a new iPhone coming up. You will feel betrayed, cheated. You will feel that you should have waited. And it creates this weird relationship with your brand. Well, iPhone says, hey, we're not going to change the prices. They're going to be these iPhones for this whole season. And we don't even give discounts. So you cannot really find discounted versions anywhere. I think OG needs to be able to do that. This is the time that we're committing to this brand, to these initiatives. And during this time, we will not change it. The jersey will not change. It will only be once a year. We might have a special drop here and there, but you'll be warned by this. So you can choose at one point, do you want to come in or do you want to wait? For the players, it's the same. You're here because of the brand. You're here to follow these players. And if at some point we switch directions, we hope to be able to tell you in advance so you can see that our plan is to continue to tell the story of the organization. Real Madrid has been there before and after Cristiano Ronaldo. By the way, I need to explain that the reason why I keep mentioning Real Madrid is because I'm a huge fan and I grew up in Madrid.
I noticed that, but I would have guessed that's where you grew up.
Yeah. So when you think about that, Real Madrid has been there before Cristiano Ronaldo. The years before were, like, remember, the Zidane era and the Michael Laudrup era and the Roberto Carlos era. So as long as we are able to create these eras and we're able to continue building the brand, I believe that we can make it happen. And it will be very positive.
Okay. And in honor of time constraints, I've got a couple more things to ask you, and then we will call it a day. Because you're a very busy man. I mean, you're running an organization now, for God's sake. How much pressure are you feeling? Are you feeling pressured at all, or are you cool as a cucumber?
No. So I would say that the pressure that I feel in movies is much more daunting because I have a much shorter time to make things happen. Mm-hmm. So when you're in a movie, to give a more or less a little bit of insight into my life in a movie. Okay, so you build, it's a hurry up and wait. You write the script and you wait. Then you get financing and you wait while you get the actors. And then somehow the schedule comes together when they tell you you have 3 months to make it happen. And now it's crunch time. But it's crunch time, and every day is just as crunch time as the one before. Imagine playing the fourth quarter of a basketball game every day, at every time, at every minute. Because what the piece of the story that you're going to collect right now, it will never be replicated. So you do what you do in that moment, and you're never coming back.
Okay.
There is no, oh, let me adjust this thing that I did. No. You're full steam ahead. So, whoops, sorry, the chair. The amount of level, the level of pressure that I feel in the movies is gigantic. And our burn ratio is insane every day. Every day is thousands and thousands of dollars on set. I feel that right now my biggest challenge is not the pressure. It's being able to do this through a much longer period of time. Because movies are 3 months, 5 months, 6 month crunch time. So pressure, none. Exhaustion, ask me in 6 months, and we'll see where we are.
Understood.
You know?
Yeah. No, that makes sense. It's obviously a very different dynamic, right?
Yeah, completely different.
And when you say a lot of money being spent every day on set, I mean, if you look at certain organizations, you could maybe say the same as well, but we will not go into that.
Yes, but let me put it this way. It doesn't fall directly onto me. So think about it like, okay, let's say that let's use a big organization, for example. I have 11 divisions. I have a Dota team competing here. I have a CSGO competing team here. I have a League of Legends competing here. But you already build the systems for those things to keep on working. In a movie, I'm not saying that I'm the one that everything depends on, but anything that happens there is all happening live at the same time, and I have 12 hours to collect the day.
Okay.
And that's it. And the sun goes down. You always have the sun going down or going up if you're shooting at night. So and there is only one activity. The one activity is the things that we're shooting right now. So I need 100 people to work just to get 1 second that is going to happen in camera. So imagine, it's like the pressure. It's formidable, but it keeps you alive. But you can feel it, when you're there. Yeah. And I've done a few of them already. All the white hairs that you see in the camera that the audience doesn't get to see. These are all movies. Like this is the one that I made in Miami. Like you can see all of them.
Same. No, I've got one more question.
Yeah, go ahead.
First off, I want to thank you for being so transparent and for taking the time. But it sounds like I'm really building up to something huge here. I'm not. I just want to know. I want to know what your grand plan is for OG. Like, what's your big vision? Like, or a bold prediction, either one. Like, where do you think, or where do you expect to see it be in years to come?
I would like to tell you what I would like. I would like us not to lose path of what is important for us.
Okay.
I would like not to lose the reason why that they build this company and the reason why fans follow us. Because sometimes when you start seeing the money and you start thinking about return on investment and you start thinking about all these things, I think sometimes people lose the North Star. The North Star was we created a company based on competitive success to be able to provide fairness and kindness and friendship. If we lose ourselves on the path to grow, then why are we growing, For who?
Yeah.
They say, I know it's cheesy, but they say the one thing that you cannot trade for your heart contents is your heart itself. That's because deep. By the time you get them, you don't have a heart to share it with. So I would like to make sure that Johann Sebastian's legacy continues. I do not intend to rebrand. I do not intend to alter the brand. The brand has a relationship with the audience. The brand doesn't belong to me in a way, It belongs to the world at this point because everybody has a story that allows them to connect to the brand. I intend to be able to create a stable platform where people inside the company can be happy. I would like players to be happy to join us. I would like audiences to be happy to work with us and partners to be happy to be part of this ecosystem. Yes, because my definition of success making movies, and I struggled this a lot personally, was I want to make the next movie. I want to make it bigger. I want to make more money the next time. And at one point I realized I just want to be happy,
Yeah.
I just want to be happy. If I'm happy, I will go to work happier. I will make everybody around me happier. You know.
I think it's
And
really, really telling that you'd rather seek happiness than seek to become the next, or like, yeah, the next Real Madrid, or like the Real Madrid of esports in the next 10 years. You'd prefer to just do things properly and do things right. And yeah, I think that's very telling. And if you run an organization with that mindset, I think the trajectory there could be very different to what we see elsewhere. Not saying it's better or worse, but I just think it's a very different approach,
very
and
different. Look,
that's
I
not
do want
what
to
we
be the
hear
Real
elsewhere.
Madrid, you know.
Yeah,
But if we lose ourselves to become Real Madrid, then who are we becoming Real Madrid for?
you.
I see a lot of companies that I think they lose the reason why they were created.
Yeah,
And let's not say lose it. That's unfair. Let's say shifted. They shifted into that, and there is companies that I grew up loving that I don't see myself in them anymore. Like, come on, you and me, we grew up in this gaming ecosystem. We all follow Optic. We all follow, like, these were the companies that we had when we started. Like, in a way, Johan made his own company because he wanted to be able to add to the story,
yeah,
of orgs. So if we continue to do things the right way and we are happy doing it, I actually strongly believe that we have a higher chance to become in Real Madrid than if we start cutting corners and changing just to ride the next wave. Because then I will not be happy running a company, and I think that everybody will be miserable inside. I don't know, it sounds horrible. I don't want to be that company.
no, that makes complete sense, and I think that's a very good note to end things on. I just want to encourage everybody who's listening, because everyone will have made it this far. You are way too captivating to cut it off short. I encourage and implore everybody to go and follow Jay on social media, and go and follow OG if you don't already, because what we're going to witness in the next year is going to be very interesting, no doubt. It's obviously a very big shift for the organisation, but something I'm definitely filled with hope and intrigue, especially after this conversation, but even before we sat down to speak for the podcast, just with our chats beforehand. Like, it feels very promising, and it doesn't feel just like the next big executive coming into esports from another industry, which we see quite often, obviously from sports and entertainment and such. Like, it feels different, if, as you said earlier, authentic and natural. And obviously I wish you the best of luck with things. And I want to thank you for taking the time to sit with us on our very first episode of ESI Insight,
Wonderful.
man.
I would say, if I wanted to do a call to action, I would say, well, first, thank you for your nice words. Then OG is not going to be about me. I don't think that I'm going to do a lot of public. I don't want to become the face of the organization. I have great people that will represent this brand better than me, being Johan, Sebastian, our players. I would recommend everybody to watch True Sight, and that is the Valve documentary that they did, because I think that shows you the core identity of these guys. They went into TI ranked 18th out of 18 teams. Nobody thought they were winning, and they won it all. And you can see it through the documentary that they're kind and they're loving to each other. There is not like a moment where, like, oh, you did terrible. No. They're hugging each other and they're believing each other. And I have to believe that you can be loving and kind and still succeed. I think that they sold us that that's not possible. They sold us in all the movies that we see growing up. They always show us like iron sharpens iron.
Mm-hmm.
But wait a second. What if there was another way of doing it? What if you actually could be nice to people and be kind, and instead of just giving them the halftime speak that we see in every football movie, you guys are gonna go out and you're getting destroyed. No, dude, just give positive encouragement. And I have seen them do it. I have seen them succeed doing it, and I am gonna try my best to run things that way and hopefully succeed.
Well, I've got no doubt in my mind you'll succeed. It's again, like, it all seems a really positive move, and you could tell that by the response the community gave when it was announced, cough exclusively via ESI, and a lot of people fighting in your corner, man. So again, thank you very much for taking the time to speak to me. everyone listening at home, thank you very much for taking the time to listen to us speak. It's
Thank you so much. You have been extraordinary. It's been extraordinary these times that I have the chance to work with you.
Well,
and I hope you the best. And I'm sure I will continue to work with you as well.
Well, yeah, if you want to just completely cut me off after this, then then I understand. No, thank you everyone for listening to the very first episode of ESI Insight, and we'll catch you in 2 weeks' time. Cheers.